Hi, I'm Todd Vision. I'd like to tell you about the Phenoscape Knowledge Base. The Knowledge Base is a tool for integrating phenotypic and genetic data across many different studies in evolution and development. Here, I'll demonstrate how, starting with an interesting phenotypic novelty in evolution, we can use the Knowledge Base to find candidate genes based on what's known in model organisms. And specifically, I'm going to look at this interesting phenotype, the loss of the bone underlying the tongue in the lineage leading to all the catfish. The bone is called the basihyal, and you can see in this diagram of a shark where it is relative to the rest of the bones in the fish skull. So we can find candidate genes for this interesting novelty because the Phenoscape Knowledge Base combines data from two different sources. One is data from studies of comparative anatomy. So the current release includes data from over 50 such studies, mostly in Astereophysin fishes, translates into over 500,000 phenotypes for 2,500 different taxa. Since we already know the phenotype that we're interested in today, I'm not going to talk much about how we would explore this data set, but other videos in this series will. The other data that's in the knowledge base is information about phenotypes that have observed when individual genes are mutated, knocked out, overexpressed, etc. in model organisms. The current release includes data of this kind for 33,000 phenotypes observed for over 4,000 genes, and all of this is from ZFIN, the zebrafish model organism database. The Phenoscape group is busy expanding the coverage of the data in the knowledge base to include data from all sorts of other vertebrates, including mammals, archosaurs, other herps, and whatnot. So now I want to start with that basihyal bone loss and see if we can find candidate genes based on mutants in ZFIN. So there's a bunch of ways into the knowledge base. This is the front page for it. We can browse the data, we can visualize the data, we can query it in various complex ways. I'm going to use the sort of simple Google-like search here, and we'll enter in our anatomical part of interest, the basihyal bone. The knowledge base behind the scenes knows about all these anatomical parts and taxonomic names and gene names, so it can do this auto-completion for us. We select basihyal bone, search for it, and it brings up the term page for the basihyal bone. This is the anatomical ontology structure with the term of interest highlighted. It's the synonyms, the definition, relationships to other elements, including what it develops from, the cartilage, other data in the knowledge base, and links out elsewhere. Let's, for the sake of this demo, browse the phenotypes in the faceted view. The facets are the terms in this menu on the left. We've restricted our attention just to anything having to do with the basihyal bone, but within that, any annotation to quality, any taxon, any gene that bears on the basihyal will all be shown. And we can narrow down by selecting one of these facets if we so choose. That's not our intent here. We know that we're interested in basihyal bone absence, which is given by this phenotype here. And so we'll select that one. It saves it to our workspace, and then we can do follow-on work from the workspace. So let's go there. We're now in the workspace, and if we go down to the bottom here, we can see phenotypes that we've selected, basihyal bone absent, and we may wonder why basihyal bone aplastic also shows up, but if we look at the term info, we can see why. So aplastic is basically a type of absence, so we get this along for the ride for free when we select basihyal absent. So we're interested in the genes that have phenotype annotations that include basihyal bone absent or basihyal bone aplastic. So let's select those, perform the query. We're brought to another page which gives us the two genes that show basihyal bone absent or aplastic phenotypes. In this case, both aplastic. You can see where that information comes from. Turns out there's 4 genotypes or morpholinos for BRPF1. They're all annotated by the same set of references. if we wanted to get more information about phenotypes apart from the one that we know about now for BRPF1, we can do it by clicking through like this. And here we see that same faceted view as before, but now it's restricted to anything having to do with the BPRF1 gene. Turns out there's 29 phenotypes. We can't see them all on this one page, but we can scroll through if we want to see them individually, or we can download them for viewing later in a couple of formats. So I hope that demonstrates some of the main things that one can do with that use case on Phenoscape KB. I haven't shown you possible then to link out to all the additional information on ZFin and GenBank and other databases about these genes and these taxa, but hope that gives you whets your appetite a bit. We're happy to hear any feedback you might have about what are the features you'd like to see or what are the demos you'd like to see. There's a prominent feedback button there, so please feel free to use it, and thank you for your time.